Alrighty.
And we're live.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
So I'm here with Jason Tran.
Yep.
This
I
is
don't know how many people know me as Jason Tran
oh, sorry.
these days,
Yes.
but yeah, Jason Tran,
Otherwise
aka
known as
Jason Q.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And well, let's talk a little bit about that. So what was the I guess the point where you switched over?
Oh, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay, so round about like end of high school to like kind of uni, like end of high school uni days.
Yep.
That's when I started meeting a lot of other people named Jason.
Yep.
And coincidentally, there
Or
was
Jason Trans.
yeah, they were all Jason Trans. And so I met like 6 of them.
Yeah.
I was like, how's this a thing? Like I thought I was like the only Jason Tran around. I'm wrong. I'm pretty much like Kevin Nguyen.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of a John Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, that became a thing, and then like I was like, how can I stand out? I needed like a little alias because I was already like starting up. Like, I want to shoot videos, but I don't want to put my real name out there.
Yep.
And yeah, some friends had already called me JQ just because my initials are JQT.
Yep.
And JQ stuck. Jason Q became that iteration. So it was just over time iterating.
Yeah.
JQ to Jason Q, and yeah, now it's stuck.
Yeah. Well, so when I always knew you as Jason Tran.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the Q thing probably happened later on. So, you know, like to me, you're still always Jason Tran, but like obviously, you know, for a lot of your film stuff and production stuff that you'll always use Q Productions or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right. So I guess, you know, that was a failure of an intro from me, but in essence, so Jason and I, we've known each other for...
It's been a long time.
It's a long time, probably since like early 2000s.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, early 2000s. And so, you know, Jason and I used to train at the same martial arts kung fu club.
Yep.
And, you know, we had some shared interests, and Jason's always been into his, like, you know, videography and
film production.
Yeah, did it? So I guess, you know, that sort of interest of yours, did that actually start with that, or did it start from photography?
I think it was like a combination of things. Being in high school, like photography was a thing.
Yep.
And then it just rolled over. I picked up like this random Sony. I don't even know what it is. It's like a camcorder / like photo. It's not a mirrorless camera. That's what it's not. But it is like a digital camera.
Yep.
Okay, that's what it is. And I used to get like a 4 megabyte card back in the day.
Yep.
And like being a high school student, cards were expensive. So 4 megabytes was good enough. So then I started like shooting things with 4 megabytes, and it would give me like 12 seconds.
Yep.
So I would film my friends at school.
Yep.
And go home, edit it, and like store all the footage, go back to school the next day, film a little clip. So it's kind of like, I guess, Snapchat, Insta stories now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it'll be like, almost like just a short clip that you could take away, because obviously back then, you know, 4 meg, what are you gonna? You're not gonna store much.
Nope.
Right. And then nowadays, compared to the resolution that we'd have, you'd be looking at like a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter
clip,
pixelated clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Type thing. Okay. All right. So I guess let's go back a bit. Okay. And let's talk about, I guess, you know, where you grew up and I guess, you know, what it was like growing up.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So,
obviously, you know, we're sitting, I guess, in Jason's little hideaway studio.
Man cave,
yeah. It's funny because you know, it's been a while since I've been here. And I was like, yeah, it's still pretty much the same, just a little bit different. Like there's an extra wall and...
Yeah, an extra wall. There's like, I'm just more segregated to everyone else now.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, so growing up, where did you grow up?
I grew up in southwest Sydney, Cabramatta, pretty much.
Yep.
So I lived out Cabramatta West,
and
then I moved further west into now here, like Wuthering Heights.
Yep.
Yeah. So what was it like growing up? I grew up like I felt like a nerdy arty kid.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't put my finger on it before. But I really liked drawing, and I really liked games, and that's not uncommon these days because like So it's like a
That's the stereotype for Asians.
yeah. That and dance and food.
Yeah. Okay. So I always joke that I'm the stereotype that you see from Fast and the Furious 1, the Johnny Tran character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So cars, bikes.
Motorbikes.
Yeah. That's my stereotype. You know, cars, bikes, kung fu.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway, keep going.
And I'm the other stereotype where it's like Nintendo nerd.
Yep.
And I love that shit.
Yeah.
Can I swear in here?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just double checking.
Yeah. No. So it's all free for all here.
Okay. So that was like my main like things that I liked growing up.
Yep.
In high school, like primary school, high school. You know, I kind of grew up in a typical Asian household.
Yep.
Very sheltered though.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you say sheltered, was that like, sheltered in terms of your parents, wouldn't let you do many things, or is it sheltered in the sense of they would let you do things, but then, always, I guess, almost like that typical sort of Asian tiger parenting, you got to focus on this, you got to focus on that.
Oh, I think it would be more of like, yeah, they prefer me not to do too many things rather than tiger parenting.
Yep.
There was a little bit of tiger parenting, like I still went to like tutor classes and things like that, but I think they'd prefer me to stay home, which is kind of.
Yep. So was there much of a push on academics for you, or was it more focused on?
Oh yeah, there was a push on academics.
Yep.
And like I performed up until a point, maybe that was high school.
Yeah.
And actually grew up, like I guess sheltered, being like I went to a Catholic school,
Yep.
like primary school
Yep.
to high school. I only did 1 year of like high school in a Catholic school, and then there was a switch over. So like I experienced like a lot of like crap like that first year of high school. So a lot of racism. It wasn't like just a lot of unwelcome things, and felt very isolated in that school. So
okay, hang on. So that was when you were at Catholic school?
yeah.
Okay. So isn't that funny? Because that would be like, that's like the antithesis of what, Catholicism would be meant to be about,
exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So was that because, I guess, what was the ethnicity sort of ratio? Was there many Asian guys, or
I would say like maybe 5% Asian in the school.
okay, so that's hence probably why you probably experienced that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then that decision to change schools, was that something that you brought up, or was that something that your parents were like, oh, we'll change your school or something, or was it just because you moved?
It was kind of like a whole bunch of things like that encompassed together. So
Yep.
it was like my brother wasn't like doing well at that school as well.
Yep.
And so they were like, oh, they're kind of trying to like kick him out of the school.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they were like, hey, do you want to change schools as well?
Yep.
And yeah, me not having a good time at that school, I was like, yeah, easily.
Yeah.
I'll get out of there.
Yep.
And as soon as we switched over, the ratio of Asians.
Yeah.
Because I switched over to a public school by
Yep.
then.
Yep.
And the ratio of Asians at this school was like, I'd say 75% Asian.
Yep.
It was just the numbers.
Yeah, totally different numbers, right?
Totally different numbers. The way that everyone act was like bizarre to me, because those kids just like, okay, when you're in Catholic school, you just have to be well kept.
Yep.
Haircut has to be on point.
Yep.
Like regardless of whatever, you just have to have a nice haircut, blazer jacket.
You're strict.
Strict.
Yep.
Shirt tucked into your pants. Shine your shoes, all that sort of thing.
Yep.
As soon as I came over to this public school, everyone was just like, ooh, like shirts hanging out. Like no one really gave a crap about how they looked.
Yep.
I think it was just at that point in time for the school.
Yep.
And that was like a culture shock to me.
Yep.
It was a school culture shock, but
Did that create different struggles for you? Like, did you feel like, so obviously you would have felt like you didn't really fit in at the previous high school, and I guess that was in year 7, right?
Yeah.
And then you change over to this new high school, and then did you struggle there to go, oh, this is really different?
It was very different. But finding friends was a lot easier.
Yep.
I felt like a lot more welcome.
Yeah.
But it was just, I don't know, the tone of everything was just completely different.
Yep.
So when I first came in, I was just like this really, because I was just I had everything from the other school.
Yep.
In terms of behavior.
Yep.
So as soon as I came over here, I was just like really proper, holding my backpack and like I had a folder and I was just like, yep, my name's Jason Tran. And like, that sort of thing, sit up straight.
And you would have been teased hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Switching over, I was just like, yep, like my name's Jason Tran. And
very eager. Like,
it was pretty much that.
Yep.
And just everyone like at a public school is just so relaxed.
Yep.
Compared.
Yep.
So that was kind of like the scene of growing up for me. So I had like a big fluctuation of like that, and then I guess I'd hang around like with all sorts of different people. Some were really nerdy.
Yep.
Some just loved cars growing up.
Yep.
And I thought I was gonna probably end up being a mechanic or something.
Okay.
Yeah. It was really weird. Like my uncle was a mechanic.
Yep.
And I did like a week of just like understudying
with him.
Yeah, with him.
Yep.
So that was interesting, but I was just like fetching wrenches and stuff.
Yeah.
I did that, and what else did I like? Yeah, I'd just be friends with everyone. I kind of I feel
So
or
then,
try to be.
So then, I guess after high school, how did you sort of then like what were you doing after high school?
After high school was I guess it's a crossroads for everyone, but I was torn between like, oh man, I want to be a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be a filmmaker.
Yep.
But I was really good at IT.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yep.
Like in terms of like came first in like high school and whatnot. Yep. So that was my thing. Like I thought I was gonna build computers from that point.
Yep.
But then I was like, I don't really want to be here.
Yeah.
And so it kind of just there was the dividing point. So I went to TAFE.
Yep.
And for some reason I picked business advertising.
Okay.
Weird, right?
Yeah. Business advertising. Okay. I didn't even know that was a course, but yeah, tell me more.
Business advertising was a course for like, it encapsulated so many things. I guess it would be like marketing.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So TAFE equivalent of marketing. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was that. There was a point where a friend recommended me to go job interview at his firm, like his IT firm. I was like, okay, yeah. I still had some like IT chops, I'd call.
Yep.
And I went over there, had an interview, and I just couldn't stop rambling on about like filmmaking.
Yep.
And I don't know why. So like they were talking about like, networks and all that stuff, and I answered majority of the questions.
Yep.
But then I kind of like said like, oh yeah, they asked me why did I really want to do this?
Yep.
I was like, well, I guess to fund my filmmaking thing.
Yep.
And then, after that, after the job interview like finished, I went back and my friend gave me a call.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, you got an interesting, they said some interesting things to you.
Yeah.
about you. Where like, the whole IT thing is kind of there for you.
Yep.
But they said you should really consider what you want to do in life if you wanted to do filmmaking. So maybe you should stick with that.
Yep.
So that became a thing.
Okay.
So it really drove me down that sort of course of like, oh, I really want to do filmmaking.
Yep. So did you find a course for that, or what happened from there?
I found a course. The course was it was a TAFE course.
Yep.
So getting into any sort of uni course at that point in time wasn't a thing.
Yep.
And this TAFE course was really niche.
Okay.
Yeah. It was super niche. Like there was 300 applicants for a class of 30.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in, I sat the exam, or like the kind of entry exam.
Yep.
And then
was there an interview or?
There was no interview process.
Okay.
They said prior that they would have like people with portfolios come in and all that sort of thing, but I was lucky enough to kind of skip that. But they kind of put me on the waiting list for that, and I never heard back. And
yep.
was like, oh man, how am I gonna get into like this filmmaking thing that I really want to do? That's where I stepped up into like, I'll just get a job and buy a camera.
Okay.
That was the goal.
That was the goal. Okay.
Get a job, buy a camera.
So then so hang on. I'm just trying to think in the timeline that I've known you, right? Like that would have been because I probably would have known you in that stage when you still hadn't gotten the camera, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Like probably this would have been 2007-ish.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that long ago?
Yeah. I finished high school in like
Older
2005.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. So then what was the first camera you like proper camera that you bought?
Oh, I bought this HDV thing.
Yep.
Okay, like I didn't really do my research. I was like, I just want a camera. This is probably the most bonehead thing that you could do.
Yeah.
So didn't really do the research. I just knew the brands. I was like, okay, a Canon. It's Canon, and it's like, wow, it's like $5,000. That's super professional. Should I get it? Yeah. Okay, I'll get it.
Okay.
So I saved up like
$5,000.
$5,000.
Yep.
And I bought this like HDV camera.
Yep.
With HDV, if you don't know, it's
explain it because I can't remember all these.
Yeah,
all these acronyms.
HDVs are like these mini tapes.
Yep.
That it's digital tapes that you put into the camera and then it records onto the tape.
Yep.
So you'd get like 60 minutes of like footage.
Yep.
And it's not like.
Well, yeah, because back then it wasn't. We didn't have. Do we have SD cards back then or not yet? It wasn't.
That was the stage of converting over to SD
cards. Okay.
Yeah. And like the whole like boom of DSLRs.
Yep. Okay.
So
you bought basically the last of the latest before
the
DSLRs came
out. Yep.
Okay.
Bonehead move.
$5,000 and then no upgrades and
no upgrades, no nothing, and there was like a lot of wear and tear with these cameras just because they're running tapes.
Yep.
And DSLRs is just running SD cards.
Yep.
So yeah, learned my lesson from then.
so what did you do with that camera? Did you end up selling it or you?
Oh no, I kept it.
You kept it?
Yeah.
It's still collecting dust somewhere in here.
Yeah. It's sitting on the shelf right there.
Okay. Yep.
In the little camera museum that I got going on.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So that was the thing, and that's actually the thing that we shot our first project on. You are a part of the project.
What is that? Do we do that? Is that for takeout?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That was the same camera.
No way.
So for context, Takeout is a film that we shot. I can't remember when, but we shot it back in the day, and that was one of our first VFX project.
Okay, hang on, because there has to be some gaps here, right? Because so back then there was, I think the four main guys would have been you, David, Jimmy,
and Chris.
Yeah. And so then they started I guess a mini sort of production company called Nashi Box Productions.
Yeah.
I still couldn't understand the reason why it was called Nashi Box, but something to do with
I think it's still really good, legitimate reason that it's called that.
Okay, yeah, so
I put it under the umbrella of like we're the second generation of Asians, so it's like the second, like it's the fruit of the first generation.
It's the fruit of the first generation.
So we're the second generation.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay,
and the box is like a TV box. So
okay. Well, that I can sort of, and Nashi's a yellow.
Yeah, it's an Asian fruit.
It is an Asian fruit. Okay, yeah. And so I remember you guys would also do like weddings, and that sort of stuff. So when I think you guys were doing weddings before we did Takeout, right?
I think there was like a weird transitional point. I think so.
Yeah,
something like that.
I think okay. So I think what I remember was the guys were doing doing some I guess videography for weddings and things like that.
Yeah.
And then obviously you guys would all then try and like piece together same day edits and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then
that was the thing back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super common now.
Oh, it's super common now, but I think back then it was like I think the OGs were like paper cranes.
Yep.
And then I don't think you guys are too far after them in that sense. And then now there's like 1,000,001 SDE companies and all that sort of stuff. So there's heaps of them out there. And then so then the Takeout thing, what I remember of the Takeout thing. So okay, and for context, if you don't know what Takeout is, feel free to go onto YouTube and look up Nashi box takeout, and you'll see exactly what it was. And funnily enough, I sent this clip to Jason the other day because my daughter Cadence and I were watching a bit of TV, and then Cadence asked me, oh, where's Daddy or something like that, and I said, oh, you want to see Daddy on the TV? And then I played takeout, right? And it was one of those things where after, like, it was so funny because at first we were just watching, and then spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil it because anyway, to tell this story I need to spoil it. But anyway, there's this in one of the opening scenes, there's a bit of action and it happens very quickly. Like, I think the scene might be a bit reminiscent, almost, maybe not on the same scale, but like, if you think about Heath Ledger's Batman and you want to see a magic trick, I can make this pen disappear.
Oh yeah,
It was that sort of quickness to it.
Okay, yeah.
And Cadence, when it happened, Cadence, I looked at her and then she goes, "Oh my gosh," and I just absolutely pissed myself laughing because I was just like, that was a reaction I wish I had it on camera, right?
Yeah.
So then I quickly went and grabbed my phone and I was like secretly recording her to see what she would say throughout some of the next sequences, and then there are some fairly violent sequences in it, and she's almost 4, so she's like 3.5-year-old, almost 4, and then like after the next run of violent action sequences, she had the same reaction, and I sent it to Jace because I was like, oh, this is hilarious, and then I sent it to my wife as well, and I was like, oh yeah, maybe I shouldn't have let her watch it at this age, like it's quite violent, right? And then she's like, yeah, what are you doing?
Oops.
Yeah,
we forgot about the violence.
Yeah, we forgot about the violence, but anyway, so it was fun anyway. It was fun to do. It was a fun project.
Yeah, it's a fun project.
And I think I guess part of the reason why we did it back then was because we were all sort of into martial arts and action and that kind of thing, and so it was just a bit of fun, really.
Yeah, and it's like something that I guess passionately, like everyone wanted to do. Like everyone wanted to do like an action film.
Yep.
So and that was kind of the boom of like YouTube. Like, yeah, it was the boom of YouTube.
Yeah.
Like all the OGs would have been starting at that point.
Yep.
And I guess we wanted to aspire to something like that as well.
Yeah.
So I guess like inspiration for us to kind of pivot that way was like Freddie Wong and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Wong Fu guys.
Yeah, Wong Fu guys as well. So we were just doing like all sorts of projects, and there was no niche thing for us at that point in time as well. Yeah,
I think the hard thing with that is everybody gets we like, I think at that point in time, everybody is really focused on quality wise, like you want to try and put out the best content, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think nowadays people have sort of realized it's not just about the quality of the content, it's also about how often you're producing content.
Yeah, frequency.
The frequency, right? Because now there's so much content being uploaded that if you're not consistently putting things out there, you just sort of fall to the bottom of the heap.
Yeah, that's right.
And I guess so even like with me doing this podcast, right? Like what I try and aim to do with that is just basically try and make sure that I still get a conversation in a week that's recorded, and then over time, then obviously look to get those out there. And I'm not so like, obviously I hope the content is good.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the hard part, I think, with any sort of filmmaking or video or that side of things is because whenever you're doing something that isn't like you're trying to do a story, right?
Yeah.
So it's very hard, and this is how you separate, I guess, average actors from good actors, is that the actors that can make you believe or have that suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, that's right.
Are the good quality actors that make the project feel authentic. And I think like it was a lot harder to do what we were trying to do in terms of trying to make films and videos and things like that, where like none of us were actors.
Oh yeah.
None of us really understood that side of it.
Yeah.
So
different realm.
It's a totally different realm, right?
Yeah.
And so, we were trying to approach it from, we'll try and write this story and have like this is the basic flow, but it probably didn't feel as it didn't feel as real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and like because I remember we did a few projects, right? We did that one, then we did you had the planking video.
Yeah.
That was more just like a skit.
That was a skit. Yeah.
Yep. And then we did rinse.
Yeah. That was like for a film festival,
Yeah.
48-hour film festival.
Yeah, so there was so we did a 48-hour film festival, and we won something for that. We got
Came
some award.
third,
Yeah.
which was not bad.
Well, considering that,
yeah.
Well, the guy that won, right? Like the video that that's that video. What is it? Like a few seconds behind or something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and like that guy was like a producer or something for Sunrise.
7.
Yeah, Channel 7, because he even got like got to use the Sunrise set.
Yeah.
To do his 48-hour film. So it was like, okay, when you sort of compare to that, and we're filming in a backyard.
Yeah.
And
we didn't do too bad.
We didn't do too bad.
Yeah, we didn't shoot too far from the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I think when you're trying to create those sort of projects where you want people to believe in this, I guess, parallel universe where this film's taking place in.
Yep.
It's a lot harder to do that consistently and produce so many different projects. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like I think like the Wong Fu guys from that perspective did a really good job of that. In terms of they sort of, but they sort of still kept it very much in their sort of universe.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we were trying to create things that were outside of the universe.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so we're trying to create these action films and this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas they're still, I could be wrong, but this is just from what I remember of watching their films, was like theirs was still based in, if they're in college, it was around that college life.
Yeah.
And stories around, that sort of part of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we were trying to create, like, it'd almost be like trying to create a different universe.
Yeah. Like, and these were like really far apart, from where we were in life.
Yeah, that's right. So like, versus your experiences, right? Like not, like it's very, I think, it was not drawing from near inspiration. We were drawing from movie inspiration.
Yeah.
Right. And so then when you do that, like, I think it's, that means that I think we needed to have that bigger investment in terms of, the acting and the development and the storyboarding to create those worlds to feel more real.
Yeah.
And I can understand why there's, like there's some of those crazy actors they're basically almost crazy because like they're method actors, right?
Yeah.
Like they live and breathe that character even when the camera's not rolling, so that they that's how you believe that they're in that world, right?
Yeah, that's right. And exiting the character, I feel like there can be some sort of trauma to them because
massively.
It's in your psyche.
Yep.
It's in your brain.
Yep.
And that kind of, you've lived those lives, so to speak.
Yep.
Being the character. So just trying to exit that is a whole different thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that sort of scares me, is that, not scares me, but I always think back and, like we always, like when we watch a good TV show or whatever, we fall in love with certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether like the actor or the actress, that's not who they really are in real life, but they've made you believe that. And so, you believe, you might like really admire or like this character's persona, but it's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the scary part.
And they've done such an incredible job of playing that role.
Yeah. And then if you might meet the person in real life and it's like totally different, right? Like, and you just look at it and you go, wow, that wasn't what I expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse, like depending on the celebrity, right?
Yeah. I guess that's why they say never meet your heroes.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story about that because when Ange and I got married, part of our honeymoon, so we went to Europe on our honeymoon.
Yep.
And we were in Croatia when they were filming Game of Thrones.
Oh, cool.
And so we were like, during our visit our stay in Dubrovnik, we were staying in the old town and they had already set up parts of the town. We've basically dressed it up as the scenes from Game of Thrones.
Yep.
And they were I think it was back then they were filming season 3, I think it was. And then we were walking around just trying to see if we could get a glimpse of the stars and blah, blah, blah. And we're walking the back streets. And then like Ange I think she was on her phone like looking for something. And then literally like we were walking down a flight of stairs.
Yep.
And Lena Headey, who plays Cersei Lannister, was walking up the set of stairs.
Oh, cool.
And like I couldn't even say anything because it was just like I was shocked. Yeah, like
yeah.
I was actually just in shock because here we were just walking the back streets thinking, oh, we might be able to get a glimpse of the set.
Yep.
And here she is walking past in her full costume and with her minder.
Wow.
And then like I was that starstruck. I couldn't even like say anything. Like I otherwise would ask for like a photo or something.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was like probably jaw open.
Yep.
And I turned because I was slightly ahead of Ange because she was still on her phone. And Lena Headey's just walked past me, and she's looked at me, and I smiled. She smiled. She continues walking past, and then it's like she walked past, and then I was like, but babe.
Just frozen.
Yeah. So
man, that's crazy.
But it's just one of those things. Like, but then you meet other people, and it depends on the setting, right?
Yeah.
But I think it was just this because I guess I didn't expect it at that point in time. I was just dumbfounded. Yeah. But normally when if you're in a more natural setting, I always like to think, it's like at the end of the day, they're probably going to feel as awkward as I am.
Yeah.
Because
they're just doing their job.
They're still people, right?
Yeah.
Like they're still people. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's go back to some of the projects at Nashibox. So, what happened? So Rinse would have been our last one, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then so from that, like what you started to do a lot of solo stuff after that. You got into your own things.
Yeah. I think I just kind of just moved into like a different direction with like the industry. So I was actually just shooting like wedding films on my not on my own, but like
with one of the other guys. Yep.
And that's kind of the direction I took for a while.
Yep.
Lots of learning in there.
Mm.
Producing like the perfect picture at the right time and all those sorts of things, like telling the story throughout the day of wedding, like that's a thing. And I kind of got looped into making this certain format of of films.
Yep.
Then I felt like I hit a plateau. I was stuck like creatively and couldn't really get outside of this box. Like I think I fell into like a weird creative trap.
Yep.
So to speak. It's like if I do anything that looks bad, remotely bad now, this is how I felt.
Yep.
If I do anything that looks remotely bad, then like people will be like, what the heck is this guy making?
Yep.
That's how I felt. I didn't see anyone else's perspective, nor did I make anything to see it.
Yeah.
So that was a big trap that I fell into.
Okay.
But then I started to watch things online. They had like some online courses. What's it called? Sorry, you probably have to cut this little gap.
There's no cutting.
There's no cutting.
There's no editing.
The pressure's on.
This shit stays here forever.
It's not.
So like
it's on
some
the tip of
online
my-
site
It's an online
YouTube?
course that they have annually.
annually.
Cine Summit. That's it. It's called
Cine Summit.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cine Summit. So this guy. His name's Aviv, and he brings a whole bunch of different filmmakers from different aspects of different walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
and he brings them all together to have their own like talks over a weekend.
Yep.
And so like you get like 3 talks a day, and you're just following through. And I found one where it was talking about making wedding films feel like Hollywood movies.
Okay.
I was like, that's a strange concept. Why would they want to do that? So they talked about like the handheld feel of like Hollywood movies currently,
Yep.
versus what filmmaking was like early 2000s and back. So in the 90s, 80s, like they tried to really highlight the star, the actor.
Yeah.
So they would really use more steady shots.
Okay.
They would set up tripods. They would set up like more like dollies and cranes. So they have like these beautiful linear movements of the camera.
Mm.
And this guy took that concept and applied it to his wedding films.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh man, why didn't I think of this? Like
Yep.
this is like such a good way to
Yeah.
yeah. And so I guess like at that point in time, like the opportunity came up where a mutual friend of ours, Peter, his wedding was coming up.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, maybe I can like shoot a pre-wedding film for you as a gift, or something along the lines of that. And then like we'll have the wedding package on the side.
Yep.
So it was also a way for me to get like my creative ideas out there.
Yep.
And have a parallel like wedding film to go with it.
Yep.
So the idea was to like their initial idea that is that they wanted to elope.
Yep.
And fly to like USA.
Yep.
And get married in Las Vegas or something.
Yep.
And then I think they had talked to with a few people, and they're like, "No, you guys stay. You should stay here and
And
celebrate
actually
with
invite your friends and
yeah,
family.
Yeah. So that was the thing, and I was like, "What if we just make the story up of the film where you guys elope in the film,
Yep.
like in your pre-wedding,
Yep.
and then you guys can have the wedding day video as on top, like as the other thing, as the other product." So yeah, we shot that, and it kind of looked like at the time like the 86s were just like kind of like boom, like was a hot topic as well.
Yep.
And Peter had just bought an 86, and we were filming it, and it just looked like a 86 ad with a wedding inside for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess that was a thing.
Yeah. Well, actually, now when you just mentioned that about Peter's wedding, like you also helped me with some of my stuff. Like,
Yeah.
So even when I proposed to Ange, Jason actually helped me to set up. So basically, I did this thing where how I proposed to Ange was basically I was picking her up, and then I blindfolded her and put her in the car, and then I just basically took her out saying that we're going somewhere, and then so we went for a drive, and we literally just drove around for like, I don't know, 40 minutes while Jason was setting up in Ange's backyard.
Yep.
And then basically he helped me to like hang, a white bed sheet, so that would be like off the clothesline.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a projector screen.
Yep.
And then we set up a projector and a chair, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'd watch this, I guess, short film that we made.
Yeah.
and then I proposed after that. Oh wait, no, hang on.
Did you?
No, that was only when I was asking her out.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. This is okay. So I'm just rehashing my memory. So this is when I actually asked her out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was like, man, this is so long ago. I don't
Yeah.
remember this. Yeah.
So that was actually when I asked her out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. That was really long ago. And then so we did a video for that, and then you also helped us do our wedding video,
Mm-hmm.
and part of it. Oh yeah. So we also did the remake of It Started With a Kiss. Remember? We filmed it at my school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So at our wedding we had like a bunch of different, I guess, ideas to entertain people.
Yep.
And one of them, so because Ange and I went to the same high school, a lot of people are like, "Oh no, are you guys high school sweethearts?" And no, we're not.
You just happened to go to the same high school.
Yeah. And then so we filmed a parody of another popular, I guess, Asian drama, because Ange and I were into watching Asian dramas.
Yep.
And you helped us film that as well.
Yeah.
And then
I totally forgot about that until
Yeah.
you just brought it up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then so it was funny because now when I think about the parody thing, like the last few videos I've seen of you have been you filming martial arts stuff.
Yep.
Like it's basically like
We call it Fight Recreates.
Fight Recreates.
Yeah.
Yep. So if people want to find it, how do they find it?
I think it's under the hashtag Fight Recreates.
Fight Recreates.
Yeah, on Instagram.
On Instagram. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And basically it's like scenes from like Ip Man
Yep.
and I guess kung fu movies, but recreated
Yep.
on
That's right. on like super budget.
yeah ultra budget.
Ultra budget. Yeah.
But they look good. The timing's on point.
Yep.
The I guess the action obviously lines up.
Yep.
So like that was pretty cool. Like what inspired that?
So we were shooting, like, it was between the three guys. So it's like Michael Tang, Tim Lee, who has done like TV series of like martial arts stuff on like ABC and is it ABC or SBS, something like that.
Okay.
And like we've all kind of been in the industry in some form or another.
Yep.
But Mike is like, he just loves making like stuff.
Yep.
So he's like making TikToks and
Okay.
and like random Instagram posts, and and we were shooting for a friend's showreel.
Yep.
And on the day, he's like, "Man, I really want to take advantage of this situation where we can just like shoot and recreate a scene like real quick." I was like, "Okay, yes, we'll see if we can squeeze it in at the end of the day."
Yep.
And that day we were shooting outside. It was stinking hot. It was like it was like, end of December.
Yep.
So if everyone didn't know, Australia was on fire at the end of
Oh
December.
yeah, bushfires.
So
Yep.
it was smoky as heck.
Yep.
So it was really hazy, stinking hot, and we're just running around like with fake guns on to make this like this show reel.
Yep.
And then Mike comes up to me and he's like, "Do you mind if we shoot this real quick at the end?"
Yep.
I'm like, "What is it?" And he's like, "Yeah, just Ip Man thing. I just think it's a hot topic. It's like trending at the moment, so maybe we can just shoot this one, like just real quick." Yeah, it's a funny story. And so we were outside of like this abandoned warehouse area.
Yep.
And it's mostly fenced off. There's a lot of space to shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were like, what if we just kind of sneak under into this warehouse area for a second?
Yep.
And we did that. And the owner, we unknowingly knew, we unknowingly were filming in his, sorry, did I just say the owner?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. So the owner was actually next door.
Oh, okay.
And the warehouse was right opposite from where his other like warehouse store was.
Yep.
And he came out furious.
Yeah.
So we were filming inside. We climbed under this fence.
Yep.
And we were just filming these fight scenes. And he came out furious. And he's like, "All right, what are your names?" And then like he just had this massive spat about it. And then he's like, "If you guys had asked me, I would have let you guys." And I'm like, "Well, what about now? Can we ask you now?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't see why not." I'm like, why did you have to come out like that then?
Yeah. So he actually let you guys film there?
Yeah, so he actually
Okay.
let us film there. So that's the actual first one that we shot, which was like, I think it was like Donnie Yen versus Scott Atkins.
Yep.
That was fun to shoot.
Yep.
And we actually finished one today, actually.
Oh, you did another one today?
Yeah, we did another one today.
Okay.
The Matrix.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just ongoing. So it's just about frequency, as you were saying before.
Yep. But it's obviously something that's a bit of fun.
Yeah, and it's like I felt like caught lightning in a bottle the other week.
Yep.
It wasn't viral, but it just caught a lot of attention.
Yep.
So had some pretty decent reach for my Instagram. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't I don't have a high following.
Yeah.
But
At the end of the day, it's one of those things like, people, if it's sharp, if it's engaging,
yeah.
people love to watch fighting. Like,
Yeah.
unless you're an ultra pacifist, like I think, most people generally, when there's a good action sequence, I think, whether you're a martial artist or not, you can still appreciate a good action sequence.
Yeah.
And then, if you're really into it, then it's like, okay, then you start looking at the details and the nuances and you go, okay, this is actually done really well.
Yeah.
And like, when I watched the one of them, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like it's done well.
well.
And then one of the guys was like the pillar.
Yeah.
and the table slammed into. I'm like, at first I didn't even realize until I like rewatched it. I'm like, hey, that's a guy.
We're like, whoops, sorry, you just have to be the thing. There's nothing else around us. But yeah, I actually got like a lot of other friends commenting, like just in person. They're like, man, that looks like it takes ages to film.
Yeah.
The key secret, it doesn't take that long to
Yeah.
film.
Okay.
Like, all right, like I understand the camera angles, so that's solved.
Yep.
The guys figure out the fight choreography.
Yep.
And we just break it down section by section.
Yep.
And it doesn't take too long to execute these.
Yep.
So, it's just about like, oh, boom, are we on point? Does it look really good? Can we
use the shot or
use
not?
the shot is it possible?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we
I think there's also a great learning experience from that as well, because you're basically piggybacking off, I guess like that old saying of on the shoulders of giants, right? Like you're piggybacking off somebody who's obviously created that fight scene somewhere, and from a cinematic point of view, it's on point.
Yeah.
Hence why it's in a movie, right? Like and so
I have some notes on that.
Sorry,
I have some notes on that.
yeah, some notes on that.
Yeah. Oh no, you can continue. And
Yeah. Well, what I guess my point is like when you break down those scenes and you understand what they're doing, that's only going to help you when you want to do other projects, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I think my note is depends on the video that you're recreating.
Yeah.
Some of it like they kind of wing it.
Yep.
It feels because like the movement isn't like
Crisp.
yeah, it doesn't feel sure. Like
Yep.
it doesn't feel like the intent was for the movement of the camera to go that direction, or I think I can probably recommend a video essay here where it's a YouTube channel that's died.
Mm.
It's called Every Frame a Painting, and in that YouTube channel, there's a Jackie Chan one
Mm-hmm.
where they talk about action comedy.
Yep.
But he also talks about why Jackie Chan is good at what he does and why he sets up cameras in the place that he sets it up.
Yep.
Because it either foreshadows the next thing that's gonna happen.
Yep.
Or it's like for spectacle.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, if you guys want to check that out.
Yeah. So yeah, because I think when you do that sort of stuff, like it's almost like I think you're paying homage to the creator.
Yeah.
And then the second thing is that you're also it's in essence doing like your own little in-depth little study
Yeah.
into it to
Yeah,
recreate
definitely.
it, right? So you it's almost
Also a side note,
Yeah.
the guy that Donnie Yen fights, his name is on Instagram, his name is Sifu Collins.
Yep.
And he's one of the opponents in Ip Man 4.
Okay.
He actually reposted. Yeah, he saw the video and he
Okay.
reposted it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I was like, man, we're actually like reaching out to like all
Yeah.
these
The right
people. Yeah. And so that was a thing for us. Like, hey, that's never happened before.
Yep.
But maybe on frequency, like,
Yeah.
hey, that's cool.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of the so obviously that's the stuff that's going on at the moment, but I know that you also did some other projects in the past, like you were filming for, I think you did a Honda event or something like that.
Yeah.
Magician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a magician friend that we shot.
Yep.
So he was basically doing presenting.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, like emceeing.
It was just another way to present information.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess having all the Honda reps around and like just showing them these are the features of car.
Yep.
Is kind of boring.
Yep.
I think they did a little twist on what they wanted to show.
Yep.
That was a very interesting way of showing it.
Mm.
And yeah, just like Honda event.
Okay.
It was shot at Luddenham.
Luddenham. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, little raceway.
little raceway there.
Yep. Okay. And then so then how did the Dermalogica stuff fit into that? Was that different?
It didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess the thing is, if you're in the industry, you just have to have, you should have some sort of good reputation.
Yep.
I don't know what my reputation sits at.
Yeah, okay.
But it was good enough that one of my friends recommended me over to shoot with Dermalogica.
Yep.
So at first it was just me taking every spot.
Yep.
But then they asked for me back.
Okay.
And he didn't mind. I did speak to him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's okay. Just
do it."
Yeah, just do. They're your client now."
Okay.
And so I was working with Dermalogica, for a number of years.
Yep.
Yeah, just making their social content and
Okay.
their B2B stuff, web.
Yep.
Yeah, and just online web videos as well.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then it was just became a study of like shooting
Objects.
products.
Yeah.
Products and beauty.
Yep.
So how to light for like really nice skin.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got some secrets there?
I do have some secrets. I have a short course coming out. No, I don't.
Maybe you should.
Maybe I should. But yeah, it's quite fun. It's different. The industry is different. Some like I just remember sitting in like one of these conference rooms.
Yep.
With a bunch of women, and I felt like, have you seen like Suddenly 30?
Which one? Who's in that?
Jennifer Garner, and like she was like this 12-year-old that wanted to be 30 so much,
Mm.
and then like she made a wish, and then like this house, she knocked a house, like a doll house.
Yep.
And then all these sprinkles fell on her.
Yeah.
And then she woke up the next day and she was 30.
Okay. Yep.
So in that movie, she recruits her friend who is Mark Ruffalo. Yeah. And he's a photographer.
Yeah.
And he joins them, and I think in that meeting, I felt like Mark Ruffalo.
Okay.
Just because like she works in a magazine firm.
Yep.
And it was just surrounded by women, and he was like the only male photographer in there.
Token
male.
male. But they also did they send you overseas to shoot as well?
No, I went overseas to shoot some Uber stuff.
Uber.
Yeah.
So how did that come about then?
Same friend.
Okay.
Yeah. So he just had a good spot.
Yep.
For a second shooter. I was like, hey, do you want to come along? And then it was like, we're just doing the whole Southeast Asia. I was like, what? That's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
And so we flew, where did we fly out to the first time? The first time we flew to the headquarters.
Yep.
I think it's closed down now, which is, I don't know if it's closed down, but it's in Singapore.
Closed down coronavirus?
No, just, no. If you're listening to this podcast, it's like March, what is it? March 27th.
Hey, we're socially distanced on this podcast.
Yeah, we are a good 1.5 meters apart.
Yeah.
And and coronavirus is a thing.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, yeah, they flew us out to Singapore and we joined them at their headquarters.
Yep.
We filmed all the interviews and it was a recruitment video. It was a whole recruitment of Southeast
to try and
Asia.
get drivers.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Southeast Asia.
Yep. Okay. Well, yeah, I think Uber got bought out by Grab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that worked out the timing of it for us a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, because I remember you also did like a short film or something, like just your own little project when you're in Japan.
Oh, cool.
Was that in line with that, or was that a different time?
That was a different time.
Okay. So what happened? How did that come about?
Okay, so my girlfriend and I were just planning a trip to Japan.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, we really want to go to Japan. I was like, I don't know. I got like the bug to shoot stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, how can I make something around this?
Yeah.
And at this point, like, I had just met a model. She was half caste,
Yep.
half Japanese, half Australian.
Okay.
And she was like, I can help you out. I can help you produce this film if you want. I was like,
Okay.
holy smokes, this could be a thing.
Wait, but where was she based? Here or?
She was based in Sydney,
Okay.
but originally based in Japan
Yep.
for a long time.
Okay.
But, you know, she was just back and forth.
Yep.
And so I'd met her on like another random like shoot that I was shooting, like a little makeup thing.
Yep.
And then she's like, I can help you out. I can help you with like translation. I can help you with getting actors and all that.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this could actually be a thing. And so we got down to like the drawing board and started like trying to flesh out a script.
Yep.
And that's probably like one of the biggest in learning things that I had. Because you're in a different country, totally foreign, don't know the rules, but we just did it anyway.
Yeah.
And it was like there's no lighting, there's none
So
of
all it is literally just your camera.
it's just me, my camera, and my girlfriend with a furry mic.
Was it on a long boom or?
Yeah, it was on a long boom.
Okay, so at least it looked legit.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. And she was just she had this funny story where she was just walking around holding the mic. Like,
Yeah.
it's got a dead cat on it, like quote unquote. It's
called a dead cat,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
called a dead cat.
Yeah.
And she's just stroking it.
Yeah.
Like it was like an animal.
Yeah.
And people were just giving her the weirdest looks.
Looks. Yeah.
But it just felt nice to stroke.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, you just like I mean, there's indie filmmakers that just do it by themselves, and I think I still find it hard to slow it down.
Yeah.
Like we're really deep into like what we're doing right now.
Yep.
And sometimes I'm just like too focused on like holding a camera and don't direct.
Yeah.
And switching, like I would love to just switch out and like not hold a camera all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
I could just hold it for like 5% of the shoot and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the shoot going
Yeah.
than actually, hold the camera.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like anyone can hold the camera.
But isn't that like I think that's still an art in itself, right? Like I always view, so like when you look at big production, right? So
Yeah.
if you think about big production, there's many different camera holders,
Mm-hmm.
there's directors, there's assistant directors, there's producers, there's all these different roles
Yep.
that try and pull it all together,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I would think that most of those people would have had the most senior ones would have had experience across all of those different parts of the business.
Yeah.
You know?
I would think so too. but like something I don't think everyone does.
Really?
Yeah, just because like they're just so specialized that like they're a producer.
Yep.
Some people I think come across like, oh, like directing wasn't a thing for me, producing's a thing.
Yep.
Or like shooting wasn't a thing for me. I'd write scripts now. Like that's
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've met like quite a few people in the industry that like they just transition across.
Yep.
They don't have everything though.
Mm.
Yeah. I think more directors would have it, like
Yep.
at least like more basic knowledge of
Mm.
everything.
Yep.
So then they can just like articulate what they really want. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I would have thought, like, because, you know, hence why, you know, there's a lot of actors and actresses who are get into that directing space, right?
Yep.
And I think, you know, it's one of those things when you can appreciate all the different moving parts. Generally, you'd hope that you can bring together a better product. Like, I know it doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a director's fault. It could be a script issue. It could be a photography issue. It could be an actor issue. It could be like there's so many different moving parts, right? To try and pull it all together has to be like this perfect sort of storm.
Yeah.
But you know, when I always think about, you know, like the when I think of, you know, blockbuster style of movies, I think, you know, obviously the movies where that generally have really great success is almost where, you know, people fail to distinguish between the actor and the character.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like as an example, of Robert Downey Jr. and an Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people would struggle to, like, you know, it's he like RDJ's a guy and Iron Man and Tony Stark, but you intrinsically link them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And like even like Hugh Jackman and Wolverine, right? Like he's it's almost
it's embedded.
It's embedded.
They're the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like, and I know I've just used a whole bunch of Marvel characters there, but like, you know, even from a,
I think because of the franchises and how long those have gone for, like it's more easier to pinpoint versus like something that has like minimal franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, as you're saying, you could probably say like Ace Ventura and like Jim Carrey.
Jim
or something.
Carrey.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah, you can. And it's funny when you try and you think of those actors in other movies that aren't related to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess I always think about Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
Oh man. Wow. What a PC shitstorm that is.
Yeah,
but even he addressed that on
on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
But that was a fucking good movie. Like.
Yeah, it was great. And people that got it, they got it.
Yeah.
Because they know it's all one big joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. Like, so I guess now, like, what sort of things are you focusing on nowadays? You just,
so nowadays I'm actually trying to grit down and like produce more short films.
Yep.
In the process of like, yeah, I talked about like wearing many hats just then.
Yeah.
I'm still wearing many hats.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's so many things that I love about it. I think, have I had the time to just like really do everything?
Yep.
I think that's where I could shine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still struggle to just shoot and direct at the same time.
Yep.
But if I slow that down, if I watch if I can really
watch it back and then you can change the direction.
I can tweak it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I think things will be different. And
So
I think that's like I'm putting out my flaw that I gotta tell myself that like I
Yep.
really want to tackle that head on as well.
Yep. So I guess you because you do pretty much all your own editing as well, right? Like all your
Yeah, that's
post processing is all you.
Yeah.
So then, do you think, you know, does that help in terms of, like, you know, does that take too much focus away? Like, I guess, you know, is the post processing a way that you can try and fix some of the things that you might have missed when you were shooting, or is it?
You can.
Yep.
But that's a thing that you don't want to hear on set. Like, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we can get everything on the day, that'll be preferred compared to, no, we can't do it. And I guess like if I had, I can probably solve all these problems. I just get an AD and someone to like shoot for me.
Yep.
Then we can tackle it head on.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean like, in terms of like fixing things in post, which I try to do minimal of that and have like more intent in like shooting and like getting the right shots to like, you know, like just finding the right things to. It's called motivated shooting. So it's just like getting the right shots that carry the story forward. Yeah. So that's the main thing that I'd like to see from myself more.
Yep.
Which I do. I do a lot of in terms of like shooting for businesses.
Yep.
But in terms of narrative,
yep.
That should be more of a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that people don't really think about. Like, you know, like if they don't have any really exposure to what it's like to do the acting style of thing, like people would go, oh yeah, that'd be really cool, until you're on set having to do it for the 100th take. Yeah. Like, you know, I think back at some of the videos that we shot, and sometimes like we were like take after take after take, and you're just like, shit, when is this going to end? You know, like it was like it's almost borderline painful how much you have to keep repeating it. But then, you know, you got to repeat it until people are happy with it.
Yeah.
And then, like, you know, so like obviously I do a lot of social media content for our BMW dealership stuff. And like even the other day I was shooting a video about, you know, COVID-19 and how, you know, because we're still, even though, well, because the government hasn't told us to shut, we're still open. Business is tough, but, you know, we're still open. And I had to put a message out there just to say, you know, we are still open. And obviously, you know, we're trying to take every precaution possible. And I would have gone through about maybe 30 takes.
Right.
Yeah, to before. And this is just a 54-second clip. And you can find it on the MacArthur BMW Instagram. Like, you know, I still made, I still stuttered twice in it. But I was like, by the 30th take, I was like, okay, it's close enough. Like, right. You know, I think the messaging was okay. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, like, I think you guys can appreciate what I'm trying to get across. But sometimes when I'm filming those things, like, you know, I try my best to be as polished as possible. Yeah, right. And present and be, you know, as articulate as possible. But sometimes, like, you know, the words don't come out right. You stuff it up on the first take. You start cracking up laughing. Like, it's not a laughing issue. You're laughing at yourself because you just feel like, why am I such an idiot? And I can't string a sentence together. Yeah. Right. But then when you think about it, like, a lot of the times people might be doing, like, you know, lines in a movie, and because of the difference in camera angles, they're shooting it piece by piece. Yeah. Whereas I'm trying to do this one take thing, you know. Yeah.
You don't have to do the one take thing, Johnny. But we appreciate it.
Well, I can't edit. So
all right. Yeah, fair enough.
So that's why I have to do the one take thing. Why do you think that this podcast is no editing? Like,
that's so true. So modern problems, you know, come with modern solutions.
So I have to be able to up my game. Well, actually, I did learn how to piece, you know, two things together, because when I was doing the podcast episode with Oliver, he was live streaming, so he was, because he's like got this Twitch following.
Oh, cool.
Because he plays, you know, Fortnite or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, man. Anyway, and so he's trying to do this live stream, and so we get like, I don't know, 20 minutes in or something, and then the live stream was playing up, and then I was like, all right, well I might as well like you know, I don't want to put my audience through just waiting and while we're trying to fix this, so we cut the audio there while we tried to fix the problem.
Yep.
And then like it's sort of semi-seamless when you do listen to it, because I just pieced them back together.
Right. Yeah.
But up until that point, I had never had to do any of that, right? And so then I was there on Google trying to type in, how do I cut and paste in Audacity? trying to work out how to put it all together.
Yep.
You know,
and then it's seamless now?
Yeah, well, I know how to do it, right?
Yeah.
And then like, it's funny because like people are always like, oh, you know, Johnny, you need to like include an introduction, you know, like, so like, so as an example, right? Like for me, the reason why I went to, like, I chose to do like a podcast style thing, because at first I was thinking whether I do like a video as well as the podcast. And then I thought, you know, well, what is the essence of what I'm really trying to achieve here?
Yep.
And for me, like, I really enjoyed the podcast format simply because, you know, I used to do a lot of driving, or I still do quite a bit of driving.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where I love to listen to the podcast format while I'm driving. And you know, if I didn't, you know, listen to guys like, you know, the Joe Rogans, the Tim Ferrisses, the Gary V's, like those, they're probably the main ones, I guess, that I guess shaped my perspective on things.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and the reason being is because like I think, you know, when I listen to and when you listen to like a guy like Joe Rogan, he doesn't ever profess to have all the answers or anything like that. But what you're getting is you're getting him almost always playing like a devil's advocate style of role, and then you're getting very qualified people, or sometimes not qualified, but sometimes very qualified people talking about, you know, different things, whether it's health, whether it's martial arts, whether it's about life, blah blah blah, blah, right? And you know, to be able to listen to those conversations, it's almost it's amazing, right? Like, and that's what I think, you know, shaped a lot of my demeanor and change in perspective from that perspective.
Yep.
And then, so then, you know, when I went through and I was deciding, well, how do I want to try and piece this together? Like, I just went out and like did a little bit of research. You know, I asked you, you know, what do you think? And then, you know, if you were saying if you wanted to do just video, if I wanted to do video, then to look at something like this. And then if it was audio, if you want to go cheap, do something like this, or then, you know, and then
just weighing out the options.
yeah, and then and then you know, there's me, you know, with wad of cash and thrown it against the wall and just say, fuck it, just buy everything.
There we go.
Job's done.
I fixed it with money.
Yeah. So, well, that's essentially what I did, right? Like,
Yeah.
I went out and bought, you know, the Roadcaster, and it does everything.
everything
It
that
does
you
everything,
needed to.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so all I like I said, like I was trying to keep it as simple as possible, and then, you know, all I wanted to do was just have cool conversations and be able to share those things.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, it's like almost like a little bit of like a time capsule, you know, like it's this moment in time,
Yeah.
you know, like we're now in the middle of this, you know, coronavirus thing, and it's,
I think I got a bone to pick with you with that.
yeah.
It's like the last time we had a podcast last time, and I was not ready for it.
Yeah.
We were like in the midst of like Australia burning down.
Yeah.
And now we're going through like this pandemic of like coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's like, what's next?
The timing.
Am I going to join the podcast for like, what's the next big thing that's
That's
going to happen?
when we do the next version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, but then it was like, I was just trying to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
Right. And then, you know, like I just enjoy it. I actually enjoy, I think there's an art form to having the conversation. I think there's, it also, you know, by forcing myself to, I wouldn't even say I'm forcing myself to do it, like, but like I want to keep myself accountable for doing it.
Oh yeah.
Because I enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm forcing myself to do the podcast and I don't really want to do it. It's actually, no, I actually really enjoy it. And, you know, like, I just like to, you know, be able to get some of those stories out and, you know, reminisce as well sometimes, because, you know, like in the example of you and I, where there's that history, you know, I was thinking back on some of those things, and some of those things come flooding back into my brain. And, you know, if I don't ever talk about them, it's almost like they're gone.
Yeah. They're kind of just.
Yeah. They're just
sleeping.
in the ether somewhere.
Yeah.
But then once you start talking about it, and as you keep talking about it, like more stories sort of pop into your brain about, oh yeah, you remember this and you remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to pick. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't watched those videos back in a while. Maybe I should like go through the catalog and get re in touch with those. Yeah.
Like when and so it's funny because like when I brought up Takeout with you, you're like, oh man, it was so bad.
Yeah.
Right.
But
then I was watching it and I was like, hey, like the action's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I think the action was pretty good for the time.
And like the skill set that we had.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, like all the effects and stuff, like you overlaid all those effects.
Oh, that one wasn't me.
Oh, wasn't it?
So that was Chris.
Oh, so Chris did it. Okay.
Chris was doing it at the time.
Yep.
I picked out all the effects stuff up after.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Chris did all the effects. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that was good.
Yeah.
Like when you you know, I'm not saying that it was the best, but I'm saying it was good. Like when I watched it, I was like, hey, like, I can appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then like it was fun.
Yeah,
Like
it was
I think
fun.
back on it, and it was it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I
I got to like shotgun the back of your motorbike with a camera for
yes,
the intro.
yes, that's right.
That's when GoPros went a thing.
Yeah, GoPros were a thing, and you can hear all the wind noise.
Yeah.
You know, like we didn't really have anything to sort of buffer it and
Yep.
do it. Like, you know, we were making do on the equipment that we had.
Yeah.
But you know, I find those things when I think back on it, I just think, you know, it was a lot of fun
Yeah.
putting that stuff together. And then we had T doing makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T was doing makeup.
Yep.
We had another T.
Yes,
Oh,
another
wow.
T, tricking T.
Yeah. And he was doing stunts.
Yep.
He pulled off a big stunt for us.
Yep.
Which was like, whoa, back in the day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, see, back then, so
It's still big, yeah.
well, back then, so yeah, that was when we used to go to C2K in Castle Hill,
Yeah.
every week or something to do like
every
a bit
Thursday.
a bit of gymnastics.
Yeah.
And but like I see, I had this pig-headed attitude back then,
Yeah.
right, where I was like, fuck, I can't do this. Like, certain moves, and then I was thinking in my head, I don't want to injure myself, but really, I was just being a bitch. Right, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, fair
Like,
enough.
I think I had the handbrake on myself because like, and the only reason I say this is because like, at the start of this year, then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it again, and then I went back, and then I went with some other friends, and then I realized, like, hey, I can actually do some of these moves.
Yeah.
I just like talked myself out of it
Yeah.
somehow, you know,
Yeah.
like I just didn't have whether it was like, so I learned I sort of learned how to backflip this year, right?
Yeah.
And
I was like,
you were backflipping easy.
yeah, but I was
Back then?
I was gobsmacked that you were just like getting really solid backflips when I joined you for like the sessions this year.
Yeah.
Which has only been like 2 sessions.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and then we got corroded.
Yeah. But man, yeah. And you took down their handbrake and
Yeah, just
unlocking all these things now.
yeah. So Josh, who works with me, so Josh Tew, he's also been a stunt guy, but he's also been really into his tricking and all that sort of stuff for many years.
Yep.
And so like I said to Josh, come and let's just muck around, play, blah blah blah. Because he's also a martial artist, different style, blah blah blah, and I thought, it'd just be cool just to see, because I know he's good, and then I can obviously sort of like pick at that, and I guess do the similar thing where if I can see it and then I can copy it and maybe get some tips, it'll obviously accelerate progress, right?
Yeah.
So whereas I think the old me probably had too much ego and wouldn't be willing to do that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so because when I think back, when we were doing it at Castle Hill, like you back then, you were doing B twists, you had X outs, you had quite a few tricks that you could do.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I couldn't backflip, I couldn't front flip, and I was just like, fuck, I can't do anything.
It's not for me.
Yeah, yeah, like maybe this isn't for me, right?
Yeah.
Like that was my mentality.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and like I said, my perspective on a lot of things has changed. And then like this year, it's like, I'm just gonna go for it, just do it. And then so like the first session that I went, I literally spent 2 hours. Like the first hour was just repeatedly trying to do front flips on a tramp onto a crash mat.
Yep.
And like I was like soaked in sweat, but I just like kept going. I didn't do like, I think the right thing would be to actually try a few different moves so that you're working different muscles.
Yeah.
But I was just like, no, I'm gonna nail this one move by the end of this class.
Right.
And so I just kept doing it. And so then I actually nailed my front flip on the floor.
Cool.
In one class.
Right.
So 1 2 hour session wasn't even a class. Like you just like you just do your own thing, right?
Yeah.
And then so the next time, so I went, which was like a couple of weeks later or something. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and nail backflip, and then I got that in one class.
Wow.
But it was just that I think it's obviously there's progressions to it, right? And I think I'm just a bit fortunate that obviously I've got some athletic ability from all the other training that I've done.
Yeah.
Now it's just about translating that over into how do I now move my body to do this different movement. Like it's not used to that movement.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's basically how I looked at it.
I think that was my mentality when like I first started tricking.
Yeah.
It's like, because we'd only been doing martial arts and been doing like lion dancing. Lion with a Lion.
Yeah. Not cowboy,
Not
cowboy boots and cowboy hat.
Yeah.
You can break your heart.
But I felt like we have like the bodies to do it.
Yeah.
Because like look how hard we train.
Yeah.
How come we don't have like, we just need like some sort of like athletic knowledge.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, when we were doing line dancing, like we're doing jumps, we're doing flips.
Yeah.
Like there's all those elements to it. So if like, I guess, when you look at a line, there's 2 parts to it in the physical line itself. There's a head and a tail.
Yeah.
Right. So the head's obviously got to be athletic enough to get the height and the jumps, the balance, because sometimes you're standing on people's shoulders and that sort of movement as well. And then if you're the tail, you need that power to be able to lift.
Yeah.
Right. So, I think the core was there. It's just we never really aimed to develop that movement.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then it was just like just a case of like, let's unlock that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had some friends like, and they were like tricking. Oh, I had one friend who was invited to a tricking class.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, I would love to join.
Mm.
And so when I went the first time, like your story, I pretty much learned how to backflip in one session.
Yep.
And I was like gobsmacked. I was like,
Yep.
wow,
Yep.
what else can I do?
Yep.
And so I was like, I caught the bug and I was like, oh, I was hooked.
Yep.
Until I just gained my leg.
Yeah. Well, this is where like, yeah. So when I say, you know, that you can do things in one session, the caveat is always, you know, depending on your pre-existing level, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
You know, don't and a good example, I'll tell this story and Jimmy will probably give me shit about it later. But so at the last session we went to, one of our mutual mates, Jimmy, because I have this. So I guess I have this intensity where people will feel a little bit peer pressured.
Yeah.
Around
You're really
me.
gung ho. You're like,
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah. so I had this mentality and I guess, you know, this gung ho-ness in life when and it used to be very reflective, like if we were drinking and those sorts of things. But I'm not like that anymore because I don't really drink anymore.
Yeah.
But you know, if there's a party and it'd be like, yeah, let's go, you know, go hard. And so because I apply that mentality to everything, right? Like whether it's work, whether it's play, whether it's family time.
Yeah.
Like even my wife, you know, when I come home, she's like, sometimes you're just too intense. You need to like relax,
mellow out.
Yeah. But I see. I know in my personality, I'm either 0 or 100.
Okay.
And so as an example, right? If there's like junk food I had like 3 or 2 beers sitting in the fridge the other day, that Jimmy had brought over like ages ago, and then I was like, oh, I'll just drink both of them, right? Like so then I don't have to look at them anymore, and then they're gone, right? Yeah. And the sad thing is that like chances are if it was a 6-pack, I probably would have gone there too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But and like you know, and I'm not a big drinker anymore. Like I felt like I was drunk after 2 beers.
Yeah.
But like I'm like that with junk food. Like if there's junk food in the cupboard, and then it's like okay, like and I can have it there and just not eat it.
Yeah.
But then it's like if I'm gonna eat it, well I'm gonna go hard and I'll just eat it all.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's
no remorse for the stomach.
Yeah, like this.
Yeah.
I have that addictive personality. So like, even on my phone, right? Like, I don't have Facebook on my phone because I know that if it's there, then I'll like it could be a subconscious thing, but you'll still always play with it.
Yeah.
Or games, right? And so like I downloaded a game on my phone just to play around because you know Corona and I can't go do any exercise.
Yeah.
And you know like so I've almost been playing it every night, and my wife's a little bit upset.
Yeah.
But that's.
Like phone apps are like designed to get you hooked.
Hooked. Yeah.
It's like they're playing with like all the chemicals in your brain.
Yeah.
I can't remember what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes you
dopamine kicks.
Dopamine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it gets you addicted, but I get like that with everything.
Yeah.
Like I'm like that with martial arts. I'm like that, you know.
So
So
you're getting a dopamine kick whenever you're doing a backflip.
I don't know about that.
There's some sort of high to it.
Oh, when you nail it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think when you
Yeah.
first nail it, there's a huge rush that's attached to that.
Yeah.
But I think that applies to learning most skills. Like I think it's almost like that. It's like part of that feedback loop, you know, that you develop. Like say when I look at my daughter, right? Like when you look at kids, and then they learn something, and then when they finally understand something, they get really happy about it. You know, so as an example, like I've been teaching my daughter how to play scissors paper rock. Right. And so I think I read this thing about how, basically there was like, so these parents that managed to train their kids to be like master chess players or something like that.
Right.
But how they started was just, you know, in terms of just making it fun for the kids, right? So just trying to get that, getting them in the mindset that learning is fun, right? And so like, you know, at first when I was trying to teach my daughter how to play scissors, paper, rock, she at first would only ever do rock. Right. So then I would, you know, I would do scissors so that she'd win. And so, you know, she'd always be like, yeah, I won. Like, you know, and to the point where then like after we did that for a little while, then I would like do paper to beat her rock. And then I would say, yeah, I won, like as in I won.
Yep.
But then she'd make the same reaction because she just assumed that she won.
She won. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so then now she's like developed a bit of an understanding about, that there, when you're playing scissors, paper, rock, sometimes you don't always win.
Right. Yeah.
But then now it's like, trying to educate her on like, so her new thing now, instead of always being rock, is to always be scissors.
Okay.
So at least she's learning that,
Yeah.
because I would start always doing paper to beat her rock. So then now she started always doing scissors.
Yeah.
So now she's always doing scissors. Now I always do rock.
Interesting.
So then I still win. No, but I do let her win.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that, I think, that makes her more willing to play the next time.
Yeah.
Right. And so likewise, when we're learning these skills or trying new things, if you can have those small wins, it makes you more excited to do it again.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm sure it was probably like that for you at the start with filmmaking, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
And like the kind of peak of like, I don't even call it the peak, like the dawn of like YouTube.
Yep.
Where people just started uploading like tutorials.
Yep.
It's like, oh, you can do this.
Yeah.
You can do this. And I'm still constantly learning. I'm like learning electronics here and there at the moment.
Yep.
Like how to wire up my own LED lights. And,
Yep.
like I just showed you some stuff a bit earlier where I've learned to animate without animating.
Yep.
Using software.
Yeah.
And, and beyond that, there's like AI technology that's like assisting to do all sorts of other things, like make old footage 60 frames.
Yeah.
Which is
You
unheard
can
of.
do that?
You can do that, and you
Okay.
can upscale it to 4K.
Wow.
Ridiculous, right?
So it just sort of fills in the detail.
Yeah, it fills in the detail.
Wow.
Like, according to what you've already trained
Yeah.
it to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of dives into like
Gets
deep fakes and all that sort of
Ah,
stuff.
is that
It's
how
like-
that happens?
Yeah. So
Okay.
you're just training an AI to
To
get
develop what you want.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, like there was that whole that app that was making people look old.
Yeah.
Like that
That's-
goes into that, right?
Yeah, that's AI based as well.
That's AI based.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like they're building servers and like it goes into the server and the AI and it spits it back out and hey, you're old.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, it's amazing what well, see, this is the thing, like in this whole coronavirus thing, like whereas everybody's sort of like in this self-isolation thing, like, well, so the thing that I've noticed being at work is that when I've tried to call people, I can't get a line. So there was like a whole bunch of like, I think call restrictions or like, because people are all working from home, there's less lines because everybody's using the bandwidth for working from home or whatever the case may be.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
But then, like that's the thing, right? Like it's so weird in my industry to not be able to shake somebody's hand.
Yeah.
Like I always feel a bit rude if I don't acknowledge somebody and shake their hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I can bump elbows or
Yeah.
or do something like that, but it's just a real it's a real culture shift.
Yeah.
And I think, at the moment, the way I feel looking at all the media and stuff is like, because it is sort of, I think everybody's on that drip. If you're following the news, you every night you're sort of checking to see what's the latest with coronavirus and what's the, how many more infections are there and, what is the next stage of what government's going to do. And, it's like, it's concerning like for businesses. So me talking about it from the business perspective is because, if people are self-isolating, like it's almost contradictory, what the government's trying to say in that, we're trying to preserve as many jobs.
Yep.
But then if everybody's at home self-isolating, you still can't really conduct your business.
Yeah.
But like, so as an example, in the dealership, we've got a service department and a sales department.
Yep.
The service department is in essence an essential service. Like, so our business, we actually do a lot of the police cars as well. So we'll service police cars,
Okay, yeah.
the 5 Series BMWs that highway patrols use and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need to obviously be open to work on those cars and keep those cars on the road.
Yep.
Because that's then forms an essential service, right? And then if you think about, all the trucks, logistics, the Isuzu, like forget about brand, but like, any of those sorts of Coles trucks, Woolies trucks that obviously do deliveries, like those things all need to go to a service center.
Yeah.
Right. So from that side of the business, I'm not as concerned. Obviously, people will have concerns about, are the dealerships taking the right precautions and disinfecting the cars and cleaning them and things like that. And yes, yeah, we're all over that sort of stuff.
Yep.
But from the sales side, it's scary at the moment because people aren't coming in.
Yeah.
I think if you really have that need to buy a car, I don't think this is going to stop you.
Yeah.
But I think it's, a lot of people are adopting the wait and see approach,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's something that, in your business, like in terms of videography and things like that, like you can still operate, even though, like, let's say it might not be a paid gig, but you still have a creative outlets that you can do, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But of course, it's going to stop you from filming anything on a larger scale.
Yeah. Right.
So like, like the thing that you would have filmed today would only just been like three of you, right?
Yeah, just 3 people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's crazy times. For me, I've just found just an outlet for creativity.
Yep.
At the moment.
Yep.
Like just learning and just growing at the present moment, and just doing like more projects that make me uncomfortable.
Yep.
And just trying to grow from there.
Yeah.
As fast as possible.
But uncomfortable in a
Good sense.
In a good sense.
Yeah.
So like, even though it's uncomfortable, you're happy to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
For like the first time in ages.
Mm.
It's like it's uncomfortable, but you're doing it and you're gonna grow.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So uncomfortable is it's a weird. I guess it's a weird term for it. It might not be uncomfortable. I don't know. It'd more be like. Yeah, I don't really have the word for it, but it's just something I'm really motivated at the moment.
Yep.
Just to see whatever I can make. I just want to see it come to fruition.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. And like, was there, so because you're now focusing more on the creative projects that you want to do, does that feel like, the shackles are off? Like, do you feel like when you're working on some of those other projects, that the paid gigs, I guess,
Yep.
Does that sometimes make you feel like, you've got to do it because obviously, you want to survive and make money,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you don't get the same creative outlet that you want?
There's no sort of sometimes there's like that creative outlet.
Yep.
And sometimes when you pitch enough and you talk to the client enough, that there's enough where there's enough where they trust you.
Yep.
Like you've shown and you've proven over and over again, like,
This is what you can do.
and can we take it further?
Yep.
So I guess like showing you that animation project, I've iterated so many different times that I can push them on a creative level.
Mm.
Let's see how far we can take it.
Yeah.
That's always been my thing.
Yeah.
With them. With other projects, like sometimes they're not asking much and they're willing just to pay for that,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a weird balance. Sometimes it's like sell your soul, sometimes, and then the other side it's like you just feel so driven. It's like, okay, don't worry about any of this money stuff.
Yep.
Just go get what you want to get.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what I was just thinking about was like, so when you do, like sometimes when you do something on a day-to-day basis, like say as an example, if you're doing those things where you may not have the creativity that you want,
Yep.
does that take away from your energy to then try and work on those creative projects? Because it's like if you're still using the camera and you're still doing those similar things, or do you have a different reserve of energy for that?
I find if it's not in my peripheral,
Yep.
it sinks quite quickly.
Yep.
Like you kind of lose sight of it
Yep.
really quickly. If you keep it in front of you somewhere,
Yep.
Then you'll be motivated to finish
Focus on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Finish this one thing first, then
Start the next one.
get on to whatever you want to do next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's that's always a hard part, if you're juggling projects
yeah.
and then you've got to like try and edit one thing and then now you got a deadline on that and then you got a deadline on another thing
Yeah.
and then you're sort of bouncing between the two, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
on occasions like I had the other week, I had like my laptop. Well, the other day even, I was just rendering something on one side and just editing again on the other side, and I just jump back and forward, and it's still in the still in the same like mindset.
Yep.
Where I'm like kind of doing the similar things, so I'm still productive in that sense.
Yep.
Other times, like I feel it's a little bit difficult to do the hat swapping.
Yep.
So if it's like if I'm editing, I'm deep into like editing's like two things. It's mechanical
mm-hmm.
and it's also psychological.
Okay.
So you're doing the mechanical thing, and then you play back. And when you play back, you want to see the psychology of it. You want to see the effects of it on you. But you want to kind of like separate those two feelings. It's like, oh, like that could cut faster. That could like be a bit louder, or you know, we should cut to another clip there. Whereas if you play back, and you play back as, I guess, like a whole, like you shouldn't do this too often because it's just a waste of time. If you play back as a whole and you take it as if you're viewing content for the first time, which is quite difficult to do. I think you have to train yourself to just like let go of like all the mechanical stuff. Then you can start to feel what your client is feeling.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're essentially, what you're supposed to be doing is like the hero's journey.
Yep.
So you would be Yoda, I guess. You'd be Yoda, and you're taking your Luke Skywalker client through a journey by watching your video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, I think we should organize some dinner.
Yeah.
All right. So,
what an abrupt way to end. May the force be with you.
all right, we'll leave it there.
All
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for the chat.
All right, talk soon.
Bye.